I've been sitting with this whole, I didn't grow up with ancestors. That wasn't part of my spiritual walk. But when I heard it, when I started leaning in, it made sense. Do you know what I'm saying? When I think about being able to tap into a power greater than yourself, because matter can't be created nor destroyed. Even if I think about it scientifically, it makes sense. How people express that, whether they're making an altar for their, ancestors or whatever, that's on them. But we can tap that all the time and we don't. And I think that's the disconnect. I played a clip from a white woman, yesterday, who talked about this very thing. I think we've been raised in a culture of disconnect, of separation of generations. We were just talking about that earlier too, to be able to think, indigenous people think 7 generations ahead. Matter of fact, I had a conversation with a brother earlier, 7 generations ahead, but they're primitive. But they're thinking about 7 generations ahead, but they're savages. No, they're thinking about the world differently. And I think I don't know if I'm hopeful that people are going to wake up, but I'm hopeful because there are people like you out there that tell me, this can happen. Next generation is coming.
Absolutely. I think there's another key point here, right? When we look at a disconnect between generations, when we don't acknowledge the people who came before us, then we don't acknowledge our elders as their present, right? So I think that there's a lot of disconnect, and there's entire cultures who dedicate a part of their society to taking care of their old, not only in the sense of like from a standpoint of receiving wisdom, but also just in honoring them, like them being the reason that you're here in the first place is worthy of honor. And I know a lot of times we're doing a lot of correcting in our spaces, especially us as millennials, coming from pre-internet and being into the internet age, or receiving a lot of information. With that new information, I think we're trying to address some of the ways of the past that may not be so good for us, and trying to figure out ways to correct those. And in a lot of ways, we've done a lot of overcorrection. And I think that that's a part of it that we've been addressing here lately, is just a part where are the places that we've overcorrected. Where are some places that we can meet in the middle, and how do we stop this cycle of like infighting between generations when we all are, standing on each other's shoulders?
Can you tell me the middle?
The middle ground for, so I think that there's a seen and not heard aspect of it that stems from slavery. And that part that stems from slavery is out of a place of protection. Your voice.
So the saying that children should be seen and not heard, that we
correct.
Raised, a lot of us were raised with that adage.
Correct. I was raised with it as well. But it also makes you very susceptible to being controlled, and not questioning authority. And I think the overcorrection there is that I'm just not going to respect anybody except for my own thoughts, my own opinions. You're going to hear me. And I think that there's a healthy balance that needs to be found in the middle, where, our elders should receive us as adults as much as they did as children. You have to allow people to make that transition in your mind. Even if you saw me as a baby, you looking at me now as a man, treat me like a man, and the same, that can be a mutual respect given. But I think that there's this thing of, the adage of respect is earned and not given. Well, who's going to be the earner? You know what I mean? And who's going to be the giver? And I think that is a tough stance for most people, because everybody wants to be the earner and nobody wants to be the giver, or fearful of being a giver and not getting their earning on the other side of it.
Welcome back to Breakdown Friday. Joseph Ward, Patrick Irvin, Professor Carl Tone Jones. We in here and we about to get this thing cooked up. But I want to make sure my audience give a round of applause for Patrick and PC. They up in here doing their thing. Come on, we're finna get the cooking. So this Friday we're breaking down the video from the Karen Hunter show. It's Karen Hunter, Deontay Kyle, and the other gentleman name is Seema. I can't see or pronounce his last name, but his first name is Seema. But this is just a part of a full conversation. The total clip is 14 minutes, and of course, there's a link to this clip in the description. I have 8 of the 14 minutes because I got the chunk that I wanted for this conversation. So conversation is surrounding racism. The title of the video is, "Do you have anything to prove to a racist?" Clip opens up talking about no ancestral worship or veneration or respect, no respect for the elders, generational disconnects, um, elders not having respect for the young not having respect for the elders. And off top, I'm not gonna lie. So my first thought is I'm hearing people who may not truly understand how the system of white supremacy works. Also, I wonder how knowledgeable they really truly are about our experiences here in America as black people. Because he talked about indigenous tribes thinking 7 generations ahead, or other groups of people who are not black Americans who are thinking seven generations ahead. And my first thought that I had when I first seen this is like, well, why the hell you think that is? I mean, do you think that black people just woke up one day and say, you know what, we not gonna give respect or acknowledge or even venerate our ancestors no more? Like, we ain't gonna do that no more. Like, we just gonna stop it right here, right now. It's like, there's a why behind the behaviors that we exhibit. There's a why behind the customs and the cultural traits that we exhibit, that we pass down. There's always a why behind it. And from channels like this, left-leaning channels, and you can hear the politically correct vernacular being spoken. And I have to remind myself that just because people be having books behind them and talk like they know about racism and our history, that don't mean that they do. Because I'm listening to a conversation, and I'm not gonna lie, once again, I'm listening to a conversation of 3 people, and I'm like, why are y'all having this conversation if y'all haven't dug deeper to try to figure out the foundation of why we behave the way we behave? We talk about it on this channel a lot, and we always go deep into the black psychology, the white psychology, the history, the things that have happened. But I'm like, there are answers to all of these things that they're talking about, but clearly they haven't done their work to dig and look for the answers, because the answers are there, and our scholars have given us this information. But it also, I know when I hear people answering questions off the cuff that they have not really thought about before, and may not have had these conversations before, and they're just talking off the cuff and throwing stuff at the wall and saying what stick. I know, I'm hearing that. Y'all can tell me if you hear some other, but I know I'm hearing that. But I want to dig deep into this first part, and so we can get to the next parts. But starting off with the disrespect, the dislocation between the generations, no respect for the ancestors, no generational forethought, or foresight rather. Like, why do black people behave like that? We finna answer these questions. So start off with you, PC. Like, what are your thoughts about this first part of this conversation, what they're talking about, and like what kind of insight can you lend to the people to get them to understand the why behind the behaviors and the lack of generational foresight?
Well, I'm a little confused because I kind of like got lost during that conversation. I heard what they were saying, but well, first of all, you already know we ain't playing with y'all. Hit that like button.
Oh yeah, please hit that like button,
Mother,
comment, subscribe,
like
share.
button before we start cussing up in here. Anyway, like I said, man, when I listened to them talk, it's like listening to my college students who don't have any concept or clues about the meat of the matter. Like, they're talking about it on a real surface base. In other words, and this is one of the things I think of, right? Because I only think 2 of them don't understand. I think Mr. Ghaznavi, I think he understands well what's going on. When white folk decide to jump in the middle of these conversations, they're typically doing it to expose how ignorant the black folk are. And Karen Hunter's been around for a while. But
You rock with Dr. Carr.
huh?
She rocked with Dr. Greg Carr.
Yeah, she's
Rolling now.
a feminist, from what I understand, from what I know. And so is Deontay. So
Deontay is a panderer. Panda. I need a panderer sound.
But in regards to, okay, so let me just get down to it. The reason why it's so confusing is because it goes back to what Neely Fuller said. Okay, if you don't understand what racism, white supremacy is, what it does, and how it operates, everything else you learn will only confuse you. Okay, it's clear that they have no concept of what racism, white supremacy is, and you could tell because they don't even use strong language. You know, I mean, call us black, call us African, but damn, you gonna call us, um, what is it, Aboriginal people? You know,
Indigenous. I think they use the
indigenous,
word indigenous. Yeah.
indigenous. So what does that mean? Like, who are you talking about? And I think when Karen Hunter was talking about the 7 generations, they think 7 generations ahead, and she's talking, but she's talking like a novice, like she's really just learning about this,
But
about the
right,
ancestry and things of that nature. But
right.
like I said, like we said on previous shows, you don't go far enough back. We didn't come here to this country on these shores. Like our ancestors didn't arrive here on these shores, on a maiden voyage, trying to put a family together and a life together for their future and future generations. They were trying to survive, and we've been in survival mode ever since. When you have Black people, Africans who come to this shores and they didn't see, the last time they saw the water is when they got on the boat. And then the next time they see the water is when they're getting off the boat for those who actually lived. It takes, it's that right there. We talk about not understanding and I think she was talking about like passed down traumas and things of that nature. I might have, misheard her. But the passed down trauma is because we've never acknowledged or accepted the fact that every generation we have starts back at that plantation. Every generation starts at 0. And then or less than 0. It starts off in a hole. We have to climb out of a hole just to see what the world is like. It's like the allegory of the cave. We're in the cave. We ain't never been out the damn cave. So when we finally get out the cave, everything's new to us, and we got to learn to walk, talk, and all that other stuff. During that process, we didn't have that. And it's not making excuses, just acknowledging what happened. And for us to be in a situation where, to survive the way we have, when you really look back and think about it, is an accomplishment. Now I heard Deontay, the brother talking about the whole notion because, like I said, the dude Cena, he played it. Where's the middle ground? Fuck you mean where the middle ground is, B? So you know what I mean? Like, there's no middle ground when there's an elder talking to a child. The child is to shut up and listen and learn. Even in his culture, right? Because I'm assuming he's Jewish based on that last name, Orthodox Jew. You don't listen to the
He's
boys.
Iranian.
Huh?
I think he's Iranian or Middle Eastern or some kind. Yeah.
Okay. Even in their cultures, the children don't learn till they have a rites of passage. The boys, they don't listen to the boys till they have a rites of passage.
But no. So hold on. I don't mean to cut you off, but you just said something significant though, right? Because first of all, why would we have that type of culture? Why would we have that type of veneration and thing for our ancestors when we've been in survival mode since we've been here? And then, like you just said, where is the rites of passage to pass these things down?
Well, and it's like akin to the conversation we was having before the show. These young people are entitled. Your opinion don't matter. You ain't did shit to have an opinion that matters.
Right.
You don't have enough lived experience to change the world. Can we, have a prodigy once in a while that, walks in 3 days and talks and, you know what I'm saying? Maybe, but you don't have enough lived experience. That's one of the reasons why the Black community is so messed up now. And see, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Joe.
You heard what he said though. He's basically attributing the shut up and stay in your place, because if a child has to understand, you respect is earned. I don't care, respect, freedom, all that stuff is earned. I don't care who it is. You have to, but he's making it seem like you're going to give the child trauma if you get them to shut up and stay in your place treatment.
Man.
He's soft.
You know, and y'all got to take him because he part of y'all generation. Thank God I'm Generation X. So but all of them I think are Gen X. I mean, what is it called? I
Nah,
forget
we
the
ain't
name.
Nah,
we ain't claiming
she's
the
Gen X.
we ain't claiming the top two.
Yeah, she's
Okay.
Gen X. I think he is. I'm not sure about him. He might be.
Millennial.
He might be one of us. Like, you know, we granddaddy millennials. He might be one of us.
He said it was a millennial. But then again, he might not know that either. The bottom line is, you know,
Yeah,
you
he
come
one
into
of us.
yeah, you come into the world. See, we got our own fact finder, y'all.
I can't read his last name.
You know what I'm saying? He's coming into this, and it's from a place of entitlement. You're too young to be able to speak over an elder who's seen more than you sitting down, that can see further than you sitting down, than you standing up. And you know, we just can't. And I think that's one of the reasons that our community struggles with the whole notion of what respect is. We don't even really know what respect is to be talking about creating those concepts and creating traumas and things of that nature. And every little struggle we now attribute to trauma or something. No, shut your mouth, boy. Yo, not another word. Okay, say it again. You know, that's not trauma. You're being trained the culture. You're being trained the lines of respect. You're being trained at that moment where respect is. At that moment. And
But
I'm
that's
sorry.
how you
I'm
but that's
triggering Joe to
no,
Go ahead.
but that's how you are able to think 7 generations ahead because there's order. But once again, like what you're saying, right? If the child is talking, how can the elder drop wisdom on them?
But in addition to that, you act like we haven't been actively sabotaged. There's a reason why the young people feel like they should have an equal amount of say as the elders on the plantation. There are whole newsletters and shared experiences about how to maintain control and dysfunction over your slave population. And, you know, we had a whole letter behind it. We called it the Willie Lynch letter, but whatever it is, which was really a collection of articles and a gathering of different different pieces of different written works that were shared during that time. And they utilized those things, those tactics, those methods, primarily out of fear, because they didn't ever want these incate. And they allowed black people to put razor blades on their neck while they shaved them. They didn't ever want their heads to get cut off. But in addition to that, it was to maintain population control over that group of people. And if you keep that people dysfunctional, well, they'll never see themselves or each other from a position where we need to follow this particular code of conduct. We can't get on code now. And so a lot of the things that we're dealing with foundationally was to make sure that our community stays in disarray, never has an opportunity to grow and mature on its own natural volition. And that's why, you know, we talk about we call it what do they call it? What is it? I don't know why I can't remember this term. I don't want to use it all the time. But you know, we're stuck in this whole cycle of Arrested Development. Thank you, Pam. Because you know, I be having an old man brain farts.
Yeah, remember the TV show.
Yeah, I got to write on a piece of paper somewhere. But we wonder why we keep going backwards and regressing. Like we feel like, okay, damn, we finally got it as a people. We're going to move forward. And why it's so easy for us to get knocked back pegs. Let me just say real quick. Dr. Amos Wilson says, as a people, you have to recognize you can make progress, but you also can be regressed. And we don't pay attention to the backslides that we continuously do when we're when we backslide, we're in a worse position than when we were making progress and we got knocked off our path.
So hold on and put a pin in what you just said, because we coming back to that, because you just answered one of her questions that she had that I wanted to make sure we highlight. So But put a pin in that. We coming. I'm glad you said we coming right back. Yeah, you triggering the hell out of me today. I ain't gonna lie, because it's this clip, because it's full of ignorance as far as not really understanding the breadth of what's happening to us. But these are the people that are teaching the masses and are looked at scholars, and our young people, even older people, are listening to. But have they really studied this and really looked at this from as many different angles as possible? Pat, man, come on in here, man. What you think about? Go
Before
ahead.
Pat jump in, what the hell is this art behind this, brother? Is this blackface? All right,
Man,
I'm done. I'm sorry.
know. What do you think about the conversation so far, Pat? Because I mean, why should a group of people who've been in survival mode since they got here actually have those ancestral custom traditions and the respect passed down from generation to generation?
I mean, I pretty much agree with what's been said. I guess no shocker there. We agree a lot. We're gonna have to find ways to start disagreeing.
I know, so we can argue.
Yeah. I'm pretty disagreeable. I'll take that burden. But I mean, I don't. So for me, these conversations, because I don't typically take them seriously, because usually the people talking are just talking, and they're, everybody's entitled to their opinion and they're entitled to share it. And then of course they get mad when we express our entitlement to share our opinion of their opinion, but that's neither here nor there. It's in fact everywhere. But I think about like how we talk in these little cutesy phrases that we haven't really bothered to really define and understand. Like, she tried to equate ancestral worship and ancestral veneration to the concept of the conservation of energy, right? Energy can't be created or destroyed, right? And that's always been funny to me, because on one level, I understand what's being said, but I'm always like, that was a cute phrase to use right there. When do we dig deeper in it, though? Because technical Ted in me is like, all right.
But they got me on technical Ted today.
Because I'm like, all right, so explain to me if energy is, and one, they never say the whole thing, because the concept of the conservation of energy applies in a closed system, right? So do we exist in a closed system? So if that's the case, like, where the hell are all these new people coming from? Because how do you go from one person, right? If you believe in the biblical story of Adam and Eve or whatever, how do you go from one person to hundreds of millions of people? Where did all that energy come from? And where are all of these? So if you want to take ancestral veneration, right, and say, all right, the ancestors are there because that energy has to go somewhere, so it just keeps existing because energy can't be created or destroyed. Where's the new energy coming from that's creating all these people? And if that new energy is coming from the universe and from stars and whatnot, then if we draw that out to its natural conclusion, then humanity is essentially the end of everything in the universe, because we won't stop making more of us. So if every human is made is less of some some astrological body out there in space, then the more humans that are there, then the less matter there is to make more. So eventually we're all just going to be, and then what happens? Like, what does that world look? So, and maybe I'm thinking too deeply into it, but that's where these conversations go for me, because I'm like, there's really nothing else happening here. So my brain is just going to go off. Respect must be earned and not given. And I feel like, so right now there's the resistance to giving respect. Well, no. You don't want to earn it, sir. Right. Like, we know how to earn the elders' respect. If you are in your 40s and you haven't figured out how to earn the respect of your elders, either you have a mental problem, and I don't mean a trauma-based one, I mean a cognitive-based one, like you have some sort of delayed development issue, or you just don't care and you just an entitled brat. I think it's more the latter. It's not hard to get the elders respect. As they're disrespecting you, they telling you why. Give the old people credit for that. I ain't never had an old person dig into me and not tell me why they digging into me. That's literally never happened. Has that happened to either one of you?
Only not elders, olders, but not elders, but olders. Yes.
So I've never had an elder say, Patrick, I can't respect nothing you doing, and just leave it at that. Usually they say, I can't respect what you're doing because you XYZ, XYZ, XYZ. Hey, X, Y, and Z is why you ain't earning no respect. But it goes back to what PC was saying too. Like, it's the entitlement, right? Like, you think you're owed respect because you're a human. No. No, I don't owe you nothing. The world doesn't owe you anything. So I'm listening to the conversation, and I'm just like, the maybe the analysis will get to be more meaningful. But for me right now, they just putting a bunch of sounds together, you know, and working their mouth huggers, and that's kind of what's happening.
I mean, but yeah, because that's why I start off, you know, saying, and we all agree that they clearly have a lack of understanding of the system of white supremacy, racism, all that. And you're going to see more as the conversation goes, because, you know, they even go and talking about that overcorrection, and that's what that's what you alluded to.
And that was another point, right? Are they going to elaborate on what the overcorrection is?
I think they will a bit, but not too. It's not a lot of real elaboration on this.
And I don't want to seem like I'm being extra critical of them as intellectuals, because the two that have spoken so far, they seem like they're intelligent people, but I am heavily critiquing the content of the conversation because it doesn't seem like it's there for me.
Yeah, no, I'm critiquing the content of the conversation, but I'm also wondering about their full understanding of the system of white supremacy. I am, because when I hear them talk about overcorrection, I think about the new generation, and you know, they're saying, I'm not going to respect you if you're not going to respect me, and also moving away from the tradition or traditional behaviors that parents had when it come to raising children, that, you know, older generations that made them, that because they wasn't as soft as we are.
But that's not even a fair analysis, because it's not giving respect to, like, we all know, right? Do as I say, not as I do is not a perfect analogy.
Right.
But if we build in and look into that analogy, it is me saying, hey, look, I know that I'm jacked up, and I know that I'm doing jacked up stuff. You don't need to do this jacked up stuff. You need to do better than me. That's why I'm telling you not to do what I do.
Right. But that's what he gets into talking about the overcorrection, is that has been done away with, doing the overcorrection, stuff like that. So it's, or okay, I have to give my child a voice to speak their mind, and I have to give them that type of respect that I would give another adult, because I don't want my child to have trauma.
I don't think that's a result of a correction, though, and I think that's where I disagree. Like, okay, I'm along the lines.
So you're saying you don't believe that that, like you just said, that's not a result of an overcorrection?
No, I think, like, I'm in alignment with Dr. Amos Wilson and what PC hinted at. That is a regression. I think there's a difference between overcorrecting and regressing. I agree. And so, to me, a lot of what my generation of parents have ushered in is not an overcorrection to negatives. It's a regression, because we don't have the strength, the backbone, and the fortitude to do what needs to be done. So we found cute ways to justify not doing it.
Going back to what I just said, we're soft. They made us softer. So, like, especially our generation, the millennials said, we're not going to raise our children the same way our parents raised us, because we didn't like it. But I used to always have conversations with other people my age, and it's like, well, I hear what you're saying about the way your parent raised you, because I never thought about changing anything the way my parents raised me. I don't want to look. I turned out good, and that's what I asked them. Well, did you turn out good? Yeah. So why would you change it? Did
And
it
that's
work?
why I don't respect it.
And I asked them, do you believe it worked? Yes. So why would you change something that you believe works?
And that's why I say it's not an overcorrection. That's
Right.
exactly why.
I'm with you.
Because you ask them, you say, well, are you proud of who you are? Yes. Okay. Why would you change something that made you who you are? That's not an overcorrection. That's you not having the intestinal fortitude to do what your parents did to your child. You're not brave enough to put your child in a position where they don't like you because you can't fathom being disliked by anybody.
Right. And especially a damn 2-year-old who would dislike anything that don't do what they like. But yeah, so let's let them talk some more.
668-018-255. Deontay Kyle is here, host of Grits and Eggs podcast. He's back. We talk a lot about race. I wish we didn't have to. A caller who didn't get on, they hung up. They said, what would the world look like without racism? I was just get ready to go to them, and they hung up. But I've been thinking about that because I would love to, just finished reading Sky Full of Elephants, Sibo Campbell's book, where, Cena, I don't know if you've read this book yet, bestseller, where it opens up with the day all the white people walked into the water and drowned. And so there's no white people. And it's just interesting how the people who are left behind, still find whiteness, still have to make up white in the midst of it. And so I think of white as an ideology. It's not a race. It's not a skin tone. Yeah. It's an ideology that most of us are imbued with. Anti-blackness is part of it, right? Deontay, how do you navigate that?
I take things for what they are, right? So I don't try to be hopeful or optimistic about racism. Like, it is what it is. It's existed before me. It's intensified with the internet. It's intensified with people who look at free speech as, precursor for hate. Like, we
what's up?
I didn't mean for you to stop it. It intensified. Tell me you don't know what the fuck you're talking about without telling me.
Well, that's why I started the show off saying what I was saying.
Racism has not intensified. Go ahead, PC.
No. Finish up, Pat, because you
were
somewhere before me.
Go ahead. Please go ahead.
I think that's the whole gist of a lot of this, though.
Yeah.
Because we have a lot of people who want to, it's like a flash in the pan situation. And speaking on topics they haven't thoroughly researched, they don't really have a clear understanding of, but they just have platforms. And, you're a talking head with platforms and they speak authoritatively. How many young people watch this? They're called influencers for a reason. A lot of people live off this shit because they have nobody to run this by. And I have to clean this up all the time talking to my students. But by the time I see my students, they feed so much into this dogma that it's like it takes a long time for them to. It's almost like being on heroin or something. It's like I got to put you in this room by yourself and I got to detox you from this before I can even show you how to eat right and live right. That's what we deal with when we have stuff like this, because it's less than surface level. It's disingenuous. And so, when you sit there and you say, and you trying to say racism intensified, when did racism intensify?
She started off trying to minimize whiteness. It's an idea. Is it really just an idea? It's not a reality.
But this is why you don't have these conversations in front of white folk, because they want to make sure they don't offend this dude. But I'm sorry.
No, you good. Because that part was triggering for me because exactly what you just said. I spend a good chunk of time talking with young people about racism, and I can't even get to their real thoughts because they're regurgitating this.
Yep.
And they believe that this, because and then it also gives them cover to not have to really think about it.
Right.
because they can just regurgitate this, and I wouldn't have a problem with them regurgitating this if this was well researched, defined, and thought out.
Which is,
But it's not. How can you, if you look at racism over the years, how can you honestly look at it and say it's intensified with the advent of the internet?
Well, yeah. Well, that once again going back to the lack of understanding, because the internet didn't intensify racism. It just put a spotlight on it for people who didn't know. If you didn't know, now you know, because the internet exists. But this stuff, it was worse. It was way worse. It was way worse.
And I agree with him fully all the way up until that point. Like the moment I said, you know what, this is going too good. I'm like the dad in Talladega Nights. I was like, this is going too good. It's got to go wrong somewhere. And that train is never late with these YouTube talkers. It's never late. And that's ironic because we YouTube talkers. But this train is never late.
Tell me the part you agreed with before he went off the rails.
I don't even remember.
Joe,
you have to run it back a little bit. Run it back.
You know,
look at free speech as, you know, precursor for hate. Like, oh, we want free speech on this platform. I don't try to be.
Like, how do you navigate that?
I take things for what they are, right? So I don't try to be hopeful or optimistic about racism. Like, it is what it is. It's existed before me. It's intensified with the internet. It's intensified with people.
Yeah.
That's where he broke me. He made two sentences I agreed with, and I was like, damn, that's two in a row.
What? And I get why, I could be overstepping, but I get why he started with that, because she's coming out with her talking points of this wishful thinking of minimizing white supremacy to just an idea, minimizing it to just an idea. It's an idea and more, because it's a real reality. That's why we're sitting here talking about it, having experiences under it, and we can't name anybody who has not experienced the system of white supremacy. We can't name nobody who's never lived under the system of white supremacy, right? It's been going on for a long time. And anybody who know what the world was like before the system of white supremacy, they've been dead a long time. So you can't just reduce it down to an idea, because that makes you feel good about the system of white supremacy. And while at the same time, you say stuff to help continue it being propped up.
Well, she tried to downplay the whiteness, but like you said, this is a global phenomenon. There's not a place on the planet that has not been touched or affected by white people. Does she know the history of why they became white people? It was to maintain solidarity in opposition to us. So you want to talk about the construct and all those different things, but at the same time, they already had their ideas about, and I'm talking about Europeans, about being at war with Africa. They had been like you talking about a millennia trying to conquer Africa. They finally succeeded after several thousand years. So, and most of it was based on, an eloping in the docile nature of African leadership that allowed them to come in there and merge with their people. So that's another conversation that is way above their pay grade. Here's the thing I'm seeing with them. I don't know why, because she's been around for a long time. To be this much of a novice with this is insane.
That don't mean nothing. She was just on the mic.
It's, but then talk about it. Listen, there are certain things you can ask me about. I say, you know what, man, I don't know. You ask me about the specifics about specific cultures that I haven't studied in depth. I'm like, I don't know. I'll tell you what I know, but I don't know enough to be an expert on these particular things. To not have the amount of modesty that's needed to say, I don't know, is damning. It's not just disingenuous, but this is harmful.
Well, that's why I ended with what I was saying. You say that on one end, but you still are regurgitating things to help keep the system going. So
Well, let's
yeah,
just speak on what he just said real quick before you move on, because I know we gotta move on. The internet did not exacerbate or not intensify racism. It just exposed what was already there. This stuff was happening in quiet towns. There are black people living in all out terror. Like Sundown Towns was written in the damn 80s. When was Sundown Towns written? I know Pat about to look it up. When was Sundown Towns written, Pat? Because you faster than me.
Oh, good.
Um, but Sundown Towns was written, and I worked in a town in and outside of Philadelphia, doing therapy for little white children in a town that was named Levittown. If you go to a town, Levittown, anywhere around the country, those Levitt towns were put together by a specific landowner who wanted to create a suburban escape from the urban plight of black people. So that book was put in place, and all those places was damn near in the north. But so yeah, black people living in terror. What happened is it was exposed. When we talking about Ferguson, the racism, them bringing troops onto the ground and shooting tear gas. What you say?
2005.
The 2005. Wow, I thought that book came out. Wow, before that, a lot of the information is a lot older. But when if you looking at like Ferguson, Missouri, if it wasn't for an alderman down there using the internet to show them bringing tanks into it, you would never have known that they were bringing tanks, shooting tear gas at people up in there, without the internet, because he exposed all that in Ferguson, Missouri, when Mike Brown was killed. So, excuse me, when he was MDK'd. So it just goes to show how ignorant that a lot of us are to the whole plight of the concept of racism. The bloody summer, the red summer of 1919.
Hey.
That was over 100 years ago. You mean to tell me we've been facing more intensified racism than that?
Yeah, according to him, because revisionist history on our end.
Like we don't deal with open-ended Jim Crow. Our biggest complaint is that the cops have taken over for lynch mobs and things of that nature. But there's nothing compared to a bunch of drunk white cats driving around with shotguns and chains and baseball bats and rope, looking for somebody to hang, on any given night once the sun go down, and sometimes in broad daylight.
Hey, so man, that's why we do these breakdowns.
Yeah, okay, I'm done with it, man. I'm always going on these rants lately.
Who look at free speech as precursor for hate. Like, we want free speech on this platform, and all of the free speech is just anti-blackness and racist rhetoric. So I think the first approach to it is just to not ignore it. Like, it is a thing. It is relevant. It is deeply embedded in the country. It is like the incarnation of the country. The ideology, even down to them signing their names on that document, 1776, is there's a lie held within there that all of those amendments and freedoms are granted to white people, and black people wasn't in mind when they wrote those things. So I think that the first approach to it is just to be honest about it and not ignore it. And I don't have expectations for somebody that don't take their kindness or respectfulness as like an adage that they're not racist. You know what I mean? They just could be, a little bit more cordial about theirs. But I think as you navigate things that way, and you're not just like completely blindsided, or you're able to recognize it in the spaces that it shows up in, then it's about you moving accordingly. I'm not going to bow my head to nobody in hopes that they'll be kind to me. I just focus on the people who are just as afflicted by this as me, and I don't plead with anybody to, do away with their ways. I think that racism, as Toni Morrison said, is exhausting and a waste of time. So I try not, I don't have anything to prove to a racist. I think that they can go and deal with their mental illness on their own.
Yeah, even that. It's exhausting. What it's supposed to be exhausting for us. We're the oppressed. It's supposed to be tough. It's supposed to be tough to not be oppressed no more. Like, it's not supposed to be easy. And then hold up. The last thing he's just said? Let me see.
Go on with their mental illness.
Yeah. Racism, and they're trying to classify racism as a mental illness. No, they whooped our ass. It's
Let's-
don't you can't confuse racism with the ability to whoop somebody's ass and continue to whoop somebody. I mean, a mental illness with ass whooping. Mental illness and ass whoopings is two different things. They had the power and the ability to conquer, and they did. It's not a mental illness. That's an ability. We need to understand that. We need to stop talking about this as if we didn't get our asses whooped. We got our asses whooped, and we continue
Joe,
to. That's why we're here.
Here's the problem. It goes back to what we talked about earlier, right? The softness.
Right.
Because now he's being a hypocrite. Because he said he just tried to see the world for what it is. And he just tried to accept the world for what it is. But now he's trying to give white people, racist people that don't like you, an out. They're mentally disturbed.
But even that, I don't think we should go around telling people that racists don't like us. It ain't about them not liking us. They have the ability to kick the shit out of us, and they do.
But they don't like us.
I get that.
But here's the thing, right? What he really speaking to is approval. Because the title of their video it says something in the thumbnail about racism being a mental illness. It's not a mental illness. This is why they don't understand and then they talk about, white supremacy, but they kind of did they use the word the system of white supremacy? Because I missed that if they did, or they just talking about white supremacy, period. Because if they said the system, this is what systemic is. Systemic is I have the privilege to spit on you every day and love it. I have the privilege to make sure that you and your family and nobody likes you move on this side of the train tracks. I have the privilege that when the prices get low enough, I'm going to starve your neighborhood to the point where I buy it up and make it too expensive for you to live in. And then I'm going to gentrify it in a way where you're not going to have anywhere else to live but somebody else's house. The ways that all these things are being described, like I said, is really passive. And let me shut up because I already got enough people mad.
No, but you're right. But what you use the word privilege. Privilege comes from power.
Yeah.
They have the power to do all those things you named. And yes, do we have some white people that move off of feelings and hate? Yeah, but for the most part, white supremacy ain't built off of that. It's built off of ability and power.
And it's not mental illness, though.
Right.
There are certain people, certain groups of people I do not like. If you sit me in a room and all these cats are from the Aryan Nation, I don't like y'all. And it's not a mental illness for me not to like y'all. And I think that they're encroaching on something that's a lot more dangerous. Yeah, they're talking about like not giving them the time of day. No, you better focus on cats that hate you, that don't mind, burning down the house you live in with your children in the bed. You better worry. I'm not going to say worry, but there is a need to worry. Okay. There's a need to understand and respect the power of your enemy. Now, do I say that we bend the knee? Do I say no? But you do have to understand that power is out there. They have the power to do so and get away with it in most cases. So you have to recognize that, and recognizing that and acknowledging that, you don't have to be afraid of it. In fact, that's the first step to not being afraid of it. Because all these things it's like I'm gonna just close my eyes and pretend that I don't see the monster in front of me. Now the monster's still gonna come. Jason Voorhees is gonna still chop your ass up. Freddy Krueger gonna chop you before you wake up. I mean, the monster's still gonna be there. Michael Myers is gonna ginsall you and it's gonna get into you. So the monster ain't going nowhere. Just cover my eyes. No, you can't do that. It's like
right.
So why are you running away from it?
Call it what it is. Deal with it. Stop being afraid to talk about like it is what it is until we defeat it. We're the ones with the mental illness. We're the ones
Well,
who
now
insane.
that part is true,
Right, because we
because
keep doing the same damn thing over and over and over and over and over and expecting
we,
different
we keep
results.
we keep rationalizing their hatred for us,
Right.
and we keep trying to find cute ways and not just saying, "Hey, these cats hate us."
They don't rock with us and they can kick us around because they can.
Yeah, and they don't. There's sectors that don't like you just because you're black. It's not a mental illness. But the thing I'm really saying is, you better recognize who you're dealing with so you can prepare yourself for who you're dealing with. This whole notion of, now, will I debate some random white guy on the street? Nah, I ain't got time for that shit.
For what?
But if you encroach upon me and you show me that you're in a position where you think you're going to violate me, then we're going to probably meet head on, because
So,
you got to understand you bleed too. So
here's why I say we do need to worry, because, and this is another one of those we saw. We're so afraid of anything negative, and we miss out on the value of those negative things. Worry is a critical emotion for society, for survival, because it causes you to plan for something, a potential negative outcome. You need worry to survive. The problem we have now is that we don't have any worry, which is why we fail to see the threat in the environment that we're in and with the people that we're trying to see. The definition of a mental illness, to my knowledge, is a mental condition that negatively impacts your ability to function in the world. So, by that definition, we exist in a world of white supremacy.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you say it's not global, it's just here in America. Okay, where do you live? Do you live in America? All right. Well, then you live in a system of white supremacy. Your failure to acknowledge that and act accordingly has a negative impact on your ability to self-actualize in this system. That means it is not the white supremacist that has the mental illness. It is the delusion that you have that they don't have a problem that creates the mental illness in you.
Right.
The delusion that you have that the world is not this way. We call those people psychotic. Y'all walk down the street, you see somebody and they tell you the sky is blue, and you say, or they tell you the sky is purple, and you look up and it's blue, and you say it's not purple, and then they want to fight you for saying it's blue, and you say, you know what, he crazy. I just ain't even gonna deal with that. That's what y'all sound like.
That's what
when y'all say white supremacy is not what it actually is. You sound delusional. The world, white people now are openly in your face telling you it's a return to form. If you want to say there's been a regression in America, we could say this: white people have regressed from sophisticated racism, where they could keep some of their more country rural members from
check. Yeah, they don't have them in the same check. Yeah,
they have regressed in terms of their ability to control the mouths of the less sophisticated members of their society. They have regressed. But
so
you have the mental illness because you're living in a state of delusion. So you need to worry. You should absolutely be worried. And it ain't nothing wrong with worrying about something. There's something wrong with worrying about it, not doing nothing about it. Excessive worry, where it prevents you from moving forward. But we have the whole other problem. We don't have worry at all.
Their regression makes them more dangerous. Our regression makes us more susceptible to that danger.
And our mental illness will have us using cognitive dissonance to try to identify any problem we have in terms of the thought process. Amen. Didn't they just reference the Constitution not too long ago in this conversation?
It was a lie about it. There was no lie about it. They didn't plan to put us in there.
But the Constitution in itself is the hallmark. It is literally the bedrock of white supremacy. an ironclad pen and paper. That's why they got the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence and the Library of Congress encased in glass and a bountiful amount of security to make sure you can't get to it. It's an institution. But they don't understand institutional racism. They don't understand what systemic is because they're literally describing the symptoms of systems, but they don't know what they're talking about.
You know what? I think they might listen to Larry Elder.
But I want you to notice something else. Pay attention to the look on Cena's face. The whole time this is going down.
I've been watching.
It's like watching a mad scientist watching his lab, like his experiment. He's, taking doing quick observation to just realize the effects of what's going on in front of him. Just keep watching him while this is going on.
So I try not, I don't have anything to prove to a racist. I think that they can go and deal with their mental illness on their own.
It is a mental illness. I think she said that as well.
Correct.
866-801-8255 is the number here. James Baldwin, I forgot who he was. Dick Cavett. I think he was talking with Dick Cavett, and he said this. Play it, Smith.
If we were white, if we were Irish, if we were Jewish, if we were Poles, if we had, in fact, in your mind, a frame of reference, our heroes would be your heroes too. Nat Turner would be a hero for you instead of a threat. Malcolm X might still be alive. And everyone is very proud of brave little Israel, a state against which I have nothing. I don't want to be misinterpreted. I'm not an anti-Semite. But when the Israelis pick up guns, or the Poles, or the Irish, or any white man in the world says, "Give me liberty or give me death," the entire white world applauds. When a black man says exactly the same thing, word for word, he is judged a criminal and treated like one, and everything possible is done to make an example of this bad so there won't be any more like him.
Are you Cena Gazavi is here, Deontay Kyle.
Because what's funny about that is
people gonna think
he
we hate
just said he's not worried about the Deontay just said, "I'm not worried about proving anything to a racist." And then they play a clip of a man who built his entire career
on proving
trying to prove something to racists.
Mm-hmm. But see, and when I saw this clip and they had James Baldwin, I was like, "Oh man, James Baldwin gonna catch some of these strays." I know because he gonna say something. He's already said something, so people gonna be like, "Man, y'all hate James Baldwin." No, we just hear real well.
Man, we don't have to agree with everything he said.
Well, we don't owe him agreement at all.
First of all, I didn't agree with what he said in that clip. If Malcolm X was, was no, man, please. There was a bunch of Negroes that killed Malcolm X.
What?
So what are you trying to say? White folk don't kill white folk? Then who been assassinating all these presidents? Who killed Kennedy? Who killed Abraham Lincoln?
but at this point, this is another thing that kind of got me going too. Is are we that type listening to James Baldwin will have you sitting around waiting on white people to be better? And that's never gonna happen.
With all the nodding and agreeing and all that shit, it's total contradiction. But it speaks to what, and I was going to see back because I was going to I wanted to see his response to that.
I already knew I was going to say something about James. I knew I was.
I don't care about that, dude. Oh, let me shut up.
No, but go ahead, Pat.
It is what it is. I mean, look, James Baldwin was a great thinker for his time. I'm not even gonna take that away from him. Do I think he was in conversations that he had no place in? Absolutely. Yes. And I'm not gonna back down from that. Him and that other woman, the homosexual
Nick
one,
Giovanni.
Yes. Mm-hmm. I want to highlight the fact that two gay individuals were having a conversation about the heterosexual relationship between black men and black women. Neither one of them have a place in that conversation, but that conversation has become the relationship conversation in the black community. That's a conversation that neither one of them had a voice in. I don't care. I don't know if anybody's noticed or not, but I really don't care if y'all agree or disagree. It's not because I'm not James Baldwin. I don't care if you call me names. You know, in that very clip, he was like, I don't want anybody to say that I'm anti-Semitic. I don't care. The truth is the truth. And the truth is that James Baldwin was a great thinker and thought about a lot of things and said a lot of things that he didn't think about enough.
I've always said that I'll add James Baldwin to a list of people. I don't think he really understood the system of white supremacy. And when I've listened to enough of him to come to that conclusion thoroughly, and I think he keeps reinforcing it.
Well, he didn't want to.
Go ahead, PC. Go ahead.
I'm just gonna say, man, all his damn lovers were white men, so white males.
Right.
They weren't all men, from what I understand. But
and that's what I was gonna say too. The mere fact that he built his career pleading his case in the public to his lovers. Because let's be clear, when he's talking about white supremacy, and my personal opinion, the only beef he had with white supremacy is that he was being made to feel uncomfortable for being with white people. And that's my opinion.
Right. No, I get you, but I think one of the overall things, especially from this clip that they just got from this, is
Joe want to take us back to the clip.
No, we still on James, but it's still
just get off James, man. Get off James.
Going back to James is James
Joe
Baldwin.
said James was like,
me personally, I wouldn't take this level of disrespect.
But James Baldwin has been one of the forerunners in pushing the idea, the notions that white people will change one day. White things will get better. Racism will just stop, and we just have to believe that white people will do this, and we just have to keep appealing to their moral sensibilities, and they will change. And it's like, James Baldwin, where has that worked?
I don't like
you
it.
or after you.
I don't, and then you know what? Some of it is not even, it doesn't really have to do with him. I don't like it that he's become a figurehead for liberal politics. And so if you want to talk to black people and then you have those who are not understanding of that message we're talking about now, many of them feel as though they can be empowered. I've heard so many college students, heard so many professors quote James Baldwin like he was some kind of revolutionary, like he was militant, like, but that, like he spoke truth to power, which was not the case. A lot of times those are his social circles.
But to them, he did, because they don't know any better and they're confused about everything else that's going on. So James Baldwin's words resonate with them, and he was revolutionary. He was outside the box thinking. James Baldwin was ahead of his time and all these different things. But as going back and listening to it, like, I hear you, but do you do know white people don't work like that though, right?
Yeah. Well, I'll just say one more thing. During 2020, when people were talking about taking it to the streets and this, that, and the other, I knew a young lady who was part of y'all generation, who called me up one day excited about, hitting the streets and marching and protesting, but she couldn't figure out why the cops were the ones giving them waters and things of that nature, until she realized this protest against police brutality was organized by the cops. Now, when she has children, if she ever has children, her generation, nieces and nephews, she's going to tell them, listen, we took it to the streets, but it ain't quite the same as those who took it to the streets and had to have the fights and the battles. You know what I'm saying? Like, the opposition didn't organize a nice, safe photo op for you. So
what kind of real protest against the system do you have with police pass you war? Okay. But once again, that's why we have to break down these videos and make sure our audience get what we getting at, and putting truth to power out there, and making sure we stress critical thinking. We stress critical thinking. Think about what these people are talking about, and go do your research on this stuff. But let's play this last little bit of this clip.
Tonight's podcast, Cena does the foreign report, right? That's it, foreign report. Are either both of you optimistic that, because every time we get, like, I feel like the civil rights, man, it's like, okay, Obama, yay, maybe we're post-racial.
See?
Are you optimistic? Like, what is it going to take? We can't even get people to show up to the polls, to vote for their own rights and resources. I'm trying to figure out how not to keep being here. I feel like we keep coming back to this place, and it's frustrating.
It's frustrating that you really think that stuff just gonna change just because a black person is put in a political seat. But once again, that's the
I'm not dealing with this shit no more, man.
That's the danger of listening to people who don't know what they're talking about when it comes to the system of racism, white supremacy. No disrespect to James Baldwin, but a lot of his rhetoric leads us to thinking like that, talking like that, feeling like that. When will white people just love us one day? When will it all be over? You really thought when Obama got elected the first time, and they were talking about a post-racial society. I wasn't at the knowledge base that I am now, but I knew enough that this was not going to be a post-racial society. Why would white supremacy stop just because we wanted to?
Man, all they had to do was look who bankrolled Barack Obama. There's a number of rich, wealthy, billionaire companies and tycoons, and the Warren Buffett. You had a bunch of people behind him that screamed white supremacy. We're still in control. And then think about it like this: how you living in a post-racial society in America when you got a brother who did not identify as a Black American, did not have the Black American experience? So, mom is white, and then dad is from Africa, somewhere, Kenya. Well, there's been other.
What they say.
Yeah, whether it's Kenya, Indonesia, one of the two, and who you talk to, but the whole notion that was what was going to put us over the top, the pinnacle, is that we were finally accepted and all this other shit. That's where I sort of like lose it.
Finally accepted,
and it takes me to like. Good, Joe. Good,
no, but that just contradicts everything that they were talking about, though, right? That contradicts the title and everything. Like, we don't want what it says. We don't have to prove anything to racists, but you want to be accepted. So you do have something to prove at the end of the day. She's the end of that clip just summed it up, that they are the ones. We are the ones with the mental illness, and they do have something to prove to white people.
They're the people that volunteered for the Borg. The Borg from Star Trek. I messed it up the last time, but Borg is said you will be assimilated. Resistance is futile. They're like, man, who resisting? Who resisting?
Right.
Like, man, listen, we plan on showing up. We're gonna bring some spices to help y'all figure out what to do with this pale ass chicken.
Y'all gonna have some snacks.
Yeah. We're gonna learn how to integrate raisins into our potato salad. We're gonna learn all that shit. It's like they just want to be there. And I don't have a problem with people who want to be there, except it's just so dangerous for us over here, because they can't just be there and leave us alone over here. And that's my biggest problem with all these things. It's like, like the Deontay Kyle dude, right? He just is all over the place. Like, what conversation he's going to have next? He's going to talk about politics next?
But why do you think, listening to what he's saying, that's one of the reasons why he's a panderer and he don't really know what he's talking about. So it's that far left, leaning left stuff, the rhetoric that they want to have out there, that helps, and it helps keep Black people in that ignorant place that we be in, just voting for Democrats and not getting nothing out of it. And we're supposed to do it because the Black people like them keep enlightening us on what we're supposed to be doing.
They don't even know who they are.
Hey, man, that's why we exist. That's why we do it. Pat said he quit.
I'm like I look, man.
They just be talking. They just be
Yeah,
talking.
like I said, they just moving their mouths. They moving their mouth huggers, and sounds is coming out. That whole she don't really want a solution to the problem because then she wouldn't have nothing to talk about.
They just want more comfortable places on the plantation.
Well, we know
accommodations on the plantation.
That lady is almost 60 years old. I refuse to accept that a woman that's almost 60 years old and has been around the people that y'all say she's been around is struggling with understanding why the election of Barack Obama did not result in meaningful change in America. I refuse to even accept that she doesn't understand the limitations of political participation with the way that we engage in the system and the way the system is structured. I refuse to accept. So I'm just going to say this whole video, all three of them was just trolling me. Even the dude that didn't say shit, he was a part of the troll. This whole thing was one big con. They just wanted to rile me up. Haha, kudos to you guys. Kudos to y'all. Y'all owe me a dinner. They weren't serious.
And shout out to people who listening to them and taking them serious. Shout out to y'all because it's over for y'all. So, yeah,
I'm not even going to traumatize myself with the comment section.
Yeah.
All right.
Hey, man. Yeah. I didn't even think to look at the comment section. I'm glad I didn't. So you might cool. I might go back and look at it, but I'm glad I ain't look at it now. But anyway,
don't go look because then you're gonna share it with us in line. Don't do it.
Yeah, we don't want to see that shit.
True. I mean, if I got to suffer it, you got to suffer it too.
But hey, make another video of you going through the comment section. Share it with your viewers.
But once again, that's why we do what we do, when we do what we do, how we do over here on the Shoulders of Giants. Now, I wholeheartedly appreciate you two for rocking out with me. And of course, I want to make sure I use my platform for you all to get the most out of this as well. But I appreciate you all sharing your perspective and helping me in this breakdown, but also getting out people to think critically and think the right way about information and things that come across us. We're not saying we got all the answers. We ain't even saying we right, but what we are saying is we thinking about what the hell is being said to us. And that's the least we can ask from our people, is to actually just put some critical thinking towards what's being said to you, and not just go with something that may sound good or make you feel good. And it's because it's easy to just go along with it. It's not easy to put some real thought and then challenge things. Sometimes we're the crazy ones. We're the ones with the mental illness, and we do want white people to white approval. We do have things to prove to white people. They just summed it up in the conversation. It totally goes against everything, the thumbnail and the title of the video, because we were listening to what they were saying. So that's how we do it. Office hours with Professor Carl Tone Jones over at FetLifeStation.com. Make sure you check it out. If you don't check it out, then you support white supremacy. ThePax.org. Check it out, support it. If not, you support white supremacy. OnTheShoulders1.com, same thing. You already know what the drill is. Continue to support us. Continue to share this information. Continue to uplift us. I want Professor Carl Tone Jones to be out there in the stratosphere. I want Pat to be out there, even though Pat want to be a dart worker, but Pat need the resources. So please continue to support my homie. I mean, the dart workers got to have the resources, bro. You got to be able to hack the people's stuff, bro.
I ain't mad at it. You damn.
Shout out to me, Kim.
Trying to make sure you straight, bro. Trying to make sure you. Hey, look, Pat.
Shout out to me, Kim.
I drug because I drug. We drag Pat out in the public, but Pat's really a dart worker. He's really a dart worker. But let me clean that up. Look, me and PC out there, y'all support us. Help us
you good, Joe. I'm chilling.
I know.
It's funny though. It was,
but people who are, and I'm saying that though. I'm saying that though because the idea is, if you're not a person out in the spotlight, then you don't deserve support. Everybody deserves support. Support everybody like you're supposed to.
It's a nice cleanup. That's nice cleanup. Here you go.
Well, you know what I'm saying. Support my goddamn homies. Support both.
Y'all gotta
of them,
adopt
goddamn
Pat,
it.
yo.
Support everybody.
Adopt him.
Hey, I'm the same skin color as one of them Africans from them old infomercials. So you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna get a little fly to buzz.
Joe need to interview Sally Struthers. All right. I'm done.
Hey man, in the arms of the angels, man. We holla at y'all.
$65 a day.
Hey, you know how we do, man. We out of here. Peace.